phenomenal here. So this is how it works. This is a series of interviews that we go around the world interviewing mixed media artists and fiber artists that have one thing in common. They all use a textile hardener called Paverpol, which, by the way, you can even create pieces to put in the garden because it's weather resistant. Well, it's going to be phenomenal today because we are going to take a tour in New Zealand and meet an artist there, and she's going to take you around, show her studio. We are going to talk about her pieces. Now, many times, she is going to mention the word Paverpol, right? So it's the name of the product line and a specific product as well. So if you get curious about the products, you are going to see at the bottom of your screen the whole time 3 websites, right? One of them is paverpolamerica.com. So if you live in the US, that's the site you want to visit. The other one is paverpol.co.nz. If you live in New Zealand, that is the one you want to visit. They basically all have the same things. They talk about the products. At paverpol.com is if you live anywhere else that is not the United States or New Zealand. Then you go there, click on distributors, and you're going to see all the distributors around the world. And there is a distributor near you. So take a look at those and find the country, because that's how it is structured by the company, right? So you want to be at the right place and get in touch. You're going to be very excited with this product. In fact, you're going to get very inspired to start creating amazing pieces. You're going to see they are very easy to use. The pieces that you can create, it's amazing. So don't miss that. And by the end of the interview, of course, it is open, it stays there. You can share with people at any time. If you scroll down the bottom of the page, especially if you're watching on pavermondo.com, you're going to see there are other interviews that we did before. So, for example, Listen here from Canada. We were also in South Africa with Brenda Helfrich. So you're going to see these interviews as well. And again, share them away. You may know somebody living in South Africa, for example, that would be interested, even if they're not in South Africa, because the interviews are really, really full of inspiration out there. And then we come every other week or so with a different artist from a different part of the world. So you can jot on your agenda right now that on May 13th, we are going to be with Dwight Saunders of Newfoundland. So we have tons of stuff for you in this series. So don't forget, if you get inspired and want to know more about the product, you always have the websites there. Choose the one according to your region. And don't forget to come back every time for another interview. So today, like I said, we are going to go to New Zealand with Gwen Nicholson. Welcome, Gwen. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you, Shahar.
Are you excited about this?
I am indeed.
Awesome, awesome. So, Gwen, I think it's so interesting, actually, the time difference that we have between here, Utah in the United States, and New Zealand. So for me right now, it is Wednesday, 2 p.m. What time is it in your place?
It's 8 a.m. Thursday.
Thursday. It's so, you're already there tomorrow. That's fun. So I want first, Gwen, for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you interested in art as a whole.
I've always been interested in art ever since I was a child, and I can remember doing a lot of paintings and drawings and things as a child, and everyone used to say, wow, they're good. And I remember when I was in my teens, I sent away through a magazine to a place in Australia for some art agility or ability test, and they came back and said, wow, we'd love to have you in our academy. How did you manage to do that without all the tricks of the tricks of the trade with enlarging things? And so I sort of got an indication early on from others that maybe I did have a little bit of talent, and I've dabbled with artistic things all my life. I've been one of those people that's kind of jumped from one craft to the next, and I've done scrapbooking and cartooning, and I had a screen printing business for a number of years where I was doing t-shirt designs and things, but I didn't find that particularly stimulating because I was really doing what everyone else wanted and not what I wanted. So over the years, it's just been playing with it because I've had a full-time career all my life.
Hmm.
And um, in the mid to late 2000s, I actually got some problems with my hips and I couldn't sit anymore. So I decided to leave my full-time job and I was looking for something to do. And I found Paverpol at a craft show in Australia where I was living at the time.
Oh, that's cool. And I want you to talk more about what really inspire you to get to that line of products. But before I do, I want to remind everyone, I forgot that at the beginning, that we are live, and the main reason we go live is because we love your participation, right? So if you have a question to Gwen, you have a chat box either beside or below, or a comment box depending on where you're watching. Post the question there, and I'll get here and ask her, and she will answer to you. We are broadcasting to several different places, but we are monitoring them. So you may be on Twitter, on Facebook, on I don't know, even on YouTube or at pavermondo.com. Right there, the questions we will monitor, and I'll ask her. But the other thing I want to tell you, Gwen, is would you like to know how many countries are watching you right now?
I really would like to know.
Okay, because some people say, no, no, don't tell me the countries, I get nervous. But I actually think it's awesome. We have right now watching you US, UK, Canada, New Zealand, Luxembourg, Singapore, Brazil, South Africa, Turkey, Spain, Poland, let me take a breath, Romania, Belgium, Sweden, Greece, Netherlands, Colombia, Australia, Switzerland, Italy, France, Germany, and I just saw one more here, Ireland. All these people interested in your art. Isn't that
Wow,
phenomenal? So
it's amazing.
it's amazing. Now, you told me that you were in Australia on a craft show and you got in touch with this. What attracted you? I mean, on a craft show, you probably have hundreds of thousands of products around, right? What caught your attention about this?
Um, well, primarily I was looking for something that I could do standing up, which is what I saw a lady demonstrating it and she was standing and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And then as I got a little bit closer to the demonstration, it was just, I don't know, I just said, I have to do this. And then I went to Sydney to the Sydney Craft Show, which is huge. And the same lady was there demonstrating, and I did a little mini workshop and I made a chick on a stick, which I still carry around. In fact, it's in my garden right outside the window where I'm looking,
Uh-huh.
and it's still surviving after all those years. It was 2007, somewhere around there, 2008, and it's
Wow,
still doing very well in my garden all
that's so
those years
cool.
later.
How big is that one?
Um, just just about this big, and it's on a great big long
Like a
garden cane, so
stick
you can
garden?
just poke it into the ground.
That's cool. So you made the chicken, you got all excited, but then you decided to take this further. Tell me about it.
Well, I decided to train to be an instructor because I was looking for things to do, and it wasn't long after that that we made the decision to move back to my home country of New Zealand. And the Paverpol um, distributor in Australia who had trained me, that was Denise Keeley, offered me a distributorship for the product in the South Island in New Zealand because they already had a distributor in the North Island.
Okay,
And over time, the North Island distributor didn't do it anymore, so I took on the distribution for New Zealand and ultimately took over the import rights from Denise. And she's now retired from Paverpol, and it's got a new owner in Australia that we've got a very good relationship with.
that's cool.
And um, it's like so now I import the products for New Zealand, and do it all online mail order.
That's very cool. Now, Gwen, do you have a piece nearby that you can show? So just we want just to give a touch of inspiration of what's possible in these sculptures. Do you have anyone by you?
Well, I have everything right behind me
Right.
at arm's
Is
length that I can grab.
okay, grab one.
So probably I'll grab this little girl because she's nice and light.
Look at that. Okay. Tell me a little bit about her. What did you use there?
She's made with a very fine wire frame and tin foil, and then all of this that you see on the legs is actually started out as photocopy paper, and I
Oh,
didn't like the look of it, so I covered it with paint and then covered it with some um, dressmaking pattern tissue applied with Paverpol. This skirt is made with wrappers, and it's made off the doll. Like it's not on the sculpture when it was made. It was made on the table. So I
yeah.
scrunched up some tin foil and laid this all over the top of it and let it dry. And then after it was dry, I put it around the waist, and it's connected to the body here with Paverplast, which is
Mm-hmm.
another one of my favourite mediums. And the head is just some Paverplast as well,
Uh-huh.
and I've added some wire and some other bits and pieces that you can
That's
see. I
very
hope you can
cool.
see that well.
Yeah.
Yes, and then there's another Paver product on the bottom of this. It's the Paver Scrub, which
Huh.
gives you the that stony look at the bottom.
Yeah.
And of course, her little boots have just been made with some clay.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Now, Gwen, we have a whole slideshow of products to show that you're going to comment on them. But first, I want to talk a little bit. So, you are in New Zealand, and I know it's one of the most gorgeous countries in the world, right? It has been on my bucket
It's
list
beautiful.
for, yes, I know it is. It's been on my bucket list for a while to visit. And actually, my sister had the privilege to be in New Zealand for about 3 or 4 months, and she loved it. What do you say if we show a little bit of New Zealand to our people here?
That would be wonderful.
Awesome.
Very
So
nice country. I just love living here.
I bet, yes. Let's watch.
This is just the town centre where I live.
Nice.
It's a very small township. We've only got about 50 or 60,000 people in Richmond, but coupled with the city that adjoins us, we've got around about 100,000 in the Tasman and Nelson districts. That's the view out of my kitchen window,
Mm,
and the sunset
gorgeous.
from my dining room window. Now, these are some of my family. My son's in the fishing industry, and that's my daughter. It's my son. He races cars, and a grandson who's doing karate, and my granddaughters who race karts.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Oh, and of course, that's my husband's bus that he drives. And this is Mount Ruapehu, which is an active volcano in New Zealand. And that's at Taranaki, another beautiful shot in the mountains. And that's the Pancake Rocks that are on the west coast. And this is Weta Workshop, which you've probably heard of, a
Mm-hmm.
most famous place for the movies with Peter Jackson.
Beautiful.
And this is just, these were taken on a very dull day. So on a sunny day, all that water is bright blue and beautiful. These are taken over at Motueka, which is about a half-hour journey from where I live, but it's very
Mm-hmm.
pretty over there. So we went over there and did a little round in the car one day, just to get some local snapshots of things that we really like.
Uh-huh.
This is the apples that are grown in abundance in our region. It's a very high food producing area.
Very cool.
And they sell them in roadside stalls like this. Some of the Maori art. at a school and in the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of my favourite shops at Mapua that has a lot of art. As you can see, we're a very arty town in Nelson.
Yeah, good.
Lots of artistic people. This is a go-to place for all the tourists, of which we have thousands in normal times. That's our little camper.
Uh-huh.
Just a typical New Zealand garden, typical New Zealand countryside.
Nice.
It's very beautiful.
I know. It's so exciting. Now, you were in the south, you mentioned, right?
Yes, the top of the South Island.
Uh-huh. I have a comment here. Sally is saying, Gwen, do you always do people or do you also do animals?
I do everything.
Uh-huh.
Anything I can imagine, I make.
That's good. That's good.
From animals, birds, dragons, dogs,
Hmm.
bugs, anything. In
That's
fact, I
very
have
good.
to show you this cute little bug. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
everything's back to front here. I have to show you this cute little bug. This bug is a weta, New Zealand weta,
Oh,
and that's about actual size
really?
of the giant weta.
That's
That's one of our
scary.
biggest insects.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't resist making this.
Okay. Did you ever make a kiwi?
Yes, I have.
Uh,
Yeah,
they.
and chickens.
Oh, really? All kinds of animals then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
roosters, everything. But
that's.
most of them go, like they sell at all the markets that we do. Or we go to shows for advertising, and everything just walks. Like I
Uh-huh.
don't get to keep very much. In
Yeah,
fact,
that.
I've got a very sad story about my recent big lot of sales of sculptures that went to a shop in the North Island. A man came and bought 6 or 7 pieces, and he took them home and put them in the shop, and the next day it burnt down. So we lost them all. That was one a sad story.
It's interesting that with all the artists that we talk that use Paverpol, that's always the story that they go to art walks or shows or galleries, and really the products sell extremely well, right? It's interesting. It
Mm.
has a big appeal to people. Stephanie is saying pretty trees. Beverly Oliver is saying beautiful. Susan Barr, beautiful country. And also saying that's a big bug. I would be scared to be around that guy, that's for sure. That's fun.
It's called a weta.
Witter, okay. But it doesn't
Yes.
bite you or anything, right?
I don't think I'd want it on my hand. They're so ugly for real.
Uh, Now, you mentioned shows that you go to, and of course, as a distributor, you give courses and certification. I know New Zealand did really well in controlling the virus, right? I know your country did an excellent job on that. But how has, last year, how was it for you? Were you able to give classes? Are you giving classes right now? How, tell me the picture of how
Still
it is
giving
there.
classes, yes.
Good.
We don't have any restrictions in New Zealand at all with COVID at the moment. It's good, but COVID was actually very good for me in that everybody was stuck at home and wanted things to do. So
Hmm.
the product sales went through the roof for a while, and it was a very busy time.
That's very good.
But yes, we're still doing the workshops.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually going to be travelling to the North Island in another month's time to do 2 workshops in areas where we don't have any instructors.
Uh-huh.
And I've had a couple of requests for workshops up in the central North Island and on the east coast of the North Island. So we're going to take a little 2-week trip around and go and do some workshops in the North Island as well.
Hmm. That's good. So there was minor disruption, can we say that, for you?
For me personally, yes.
Hmm.
There are a lot of businesses, all the businesses that uh, had things to sell where people could do stuff at home did very
They
well,
do well.
as well as places like car yards and things like that did well because no one could spend their money anymore on holidays overseas, so they all started buying new cars.
Bring it, yes, 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 yes. And this is happening in quite a few places, including the fact that some people, because they had to stay on lockdown, especially here in the US, they started saving money because they were not going out to eat and doing things like that, which, I don't know how much you know about the culture here, but saving money is not something that is a priority, but now they did. So now that things are, getting to a normal stage again, guess what? They're spending, right? And that benefits a lot of
Yes.
businesses, yes.
Yeah.
We have,
Same here. Same
yeah,
thing.
same thing. We have a slideshow with some of your pieces that I want to show now to people. And you are welcome to comment on each one, how you use. I don't know if we can slow down so she can talk about each one, but feel free to comment. And again, everybody, if you're going to see the pieces now, and that's the moment you start getting inspired. Have questions, submit them. We're monitoring everywhere. So let's watch those pieces.
Oh, this one is not Paverpol. This one is just some of my other art, which is looking very stretched on this for some reason. It's not quite that shape for real, but those are wax. That's encaustic art. It's just 3 or 4 of those. Now that's a very elongated version of an art piece that I entered into a wearable art show, and I actually won the recycle section with it. So it's made with Paverpol and tea bags.
Wow, oh, tea bags, okay.
A lot
And,
of tea bags in there, hundreds of them.
wow. And which prize did you get?
I won the recycle section.
Oh, amazing.
It was recycled tea bags.
Wow, that's awesome. And the next
It's
one?
just a little bit stretched, so it doesn't look quite. That's a little close-up view of. You can see it's a little bit out of proportion. Maybe it's my screen, but the teapot on the top's made with tea bags, and the cups hanging on the rod are also made totally of tea bags stuck together with paper pole. So it was a very fun project.
Uh-huh.
Now those are some birds that were made in a workshop at a school with 8-year-olds, and they're very similar to the one that we're featuring on the little thing shortly.
So they created those pieces.
Those little ones were all made by 8 to 10-year-old children, yes.
Wow, that's very good.
Those are a couple of my other art pieces as well they're made with the same armatures as we use in paper pole. There's a little bit of paper pole in those, but most of them are just fabric for those
Okay.
particular ones.
This little
I've
guy is
done some of
awesome.
my. This little guy's got paper pole in him. He's all stuck together with paper pole.
Uh-huh.
He's clay boots, and that's a gourd, the purple bit in the
Oh, it's
middle.
a gourd. Okay.
Yes, and then a velvet jacket and a little hat. And I sculpted the face and made the little glasses and everything, and it's just wool for hair.
Uh-huh. That's a very cool body. I love it.
He's looking very. I don't know whether he is on my screen looking very elongated. I don't know about how he's looking to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's another gourd, and that's made with Paverpol. A lot of the components have been stuck together with Paverpol, especially the roof. That's all popsicle sticks,
Oh,
and um, there's bamboo canes around for the little veranda, and the bottom of it's done with art stone and pebbles and things like that.
uh-huh.
And those little mushrooms are made from art stone as well.
Very cool.
That's the similar girl to the one that we just looked at.
Uh-huh.
Same process. I think that's the back view of her by the look of the shoes. And that's the one
That
that
one,
I
yes, you
showed you just
showed.
before.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but now we can see a close up. Ooh, look at this one.
Now that one's that's a bit more ambitious project. That was a
Okay.
child, that's full size tricycle with a
Uh,
child on it,
very
all
cool.
paper pole.
How big is that?
Well, it's just a normal child's tricycle, so it would
Oh,
be probably a metre high.
okay. So I have to ask you the inside. What did you use? Aluminum? What is it?
For that one, I would have used heavy aluminium rods for the frame. because the probably I'll just pick up a piece and show you if you can. Oh no, you won't be able to see me at the moment.
We'll see it right after this, yes.
Yeah, heavy. There's heavy aluminium inside that, all not taped together. When I'm putting it together and I can't weld it, I put it together with hose clips because that holds them nice and strong. And it's all then shaped with aluminium foil and then done in the normal way,
That's awesome.
just the same
That's
as
a
a small one.
phenomenal piece. I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
they were very popular. They don't last very long when I make them either.
Uh-huh. And the tricycle in itself, is it a vintage tricycle that you used?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just an old-fashioned child's tricycle, and I gave it a bit of a blasting and painted it with a spray can, and
Nice.
I actually like to make them too with broken wheels and things, and I
Uh-huh.
often make them like with the child sitting on pointing down at the broken wheel, or
Oh.
like a child standing in the tray,
Uh-huh.
and I also make I have made full size bicycles with full size people on them. There's
Oh.
some of those on my website, so on the gallery, so that if anyone wants to have a look, I made an entire family at one
Uh-huh.
stage, and the same lady bought the whole lot, so they're all in her garden as a family riding through
Oh, how
riding
cool.
through her park-like garden.
See, there are no limits. And it's amazing. It's a great, great idea, this one. Do we have another one? There we go. The taxi lady.
Yeah, she's one of the ones that got lost in the fire, unfortunately. So she
Ah.
doesn't exist anymore. But she's made with paver sand,
Uh-huh.
paver plast, art stone, and paver sand, and she has nothing on but the doily.
Oh. So how many pieces did you lose in the fire?
There were about 6 or 8 pieces, I think, they bought and took to their shop, and then it burnt down the day after he put them all in the shop for sale.
Oh, the next day.
It was a bit
Oh,
sad.
oh, yeah, it is sad. Of course it is. Sally's saying, Gwen, do you have a website you sell your art?
No,
No.
I don't sell it I don't sell it online.
Okay, usually on,
I
on
can't keep up
shows.
with I wouldn't be able to keep up with the demand, I don't think. I had a few health issues for a couple of years, so I've kind of wound back the production of my own artwork a little bit, but I'm just starting to get back into producing more again now.
Uh-huh. Nice. Elena is asking, can you show us the white doll angel behind you? And how did you make the wings? Can you show us that piece?
I can. This is a very special piece, actually, that I made for by request for a friend who was in her last few days of life, and it was made and taken to her funeral, and I've treasured it ever since. This, can you see that?
Yes.
Can you see that well enough? The wings these are just aluminium wire that we use for all of our sculptures, and that's this aluminium wire.
Uh-huh.
It's 3 millimeter, very soft, flexible wire that we use for building all of our frames. And it's just bent into the shape, and I've covered the wire with wrappers, and then put a little bit of paverplast on that to make it smooth, and then I've hung relief decoration on it. So, and there's a little bit of laddered stockinette as well. The
Okay.
stockinette that we use for the shawls and things. And there's lace and things in this one as well. She's got some lace down the front of her, and she's
Wow.
fairly bulky to fit in this screen,
Uh-huh.
but she's one of my favourite pieces.
Yeah, it's
And the
gorgeous,
hair is
gorgeous.
just stockinette as well.
Uh-huh. And you heard Gwen talk about the relief, the art stone, and several other things that she uses there. Well, they are all part of the line of products from Paverpol. Again, if you're curious, there are 3 websites running on your screen. One is for the US, then the other one is for New Zealand, and paverpol.com is the main website where if you click on distributors, you will find people near you that can help you with that. Arlene is saying, direto do Brasil, right from Brazil, kisses to you. Obrigada, Arlene. Stephanie, that is really cool with the recycled tea bags. Sally Mason, did you make the violin on the Gourd man? That Gourd man, I think you have it near you, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, well,
Yes, I
let's
did
see.
make the violet.
I think
It's
he's
made
my
from
favorite so far.
the violin's made from balsa wood.
Balsa wood. And you carved it?
Yes.
Oh wow, nice.
It's just balsa wood, you know, that very soft wood
Uh-huh.
that you could make model aeroplanes from. Children make model aeroplanes. We can buy it in our local hardware store up to kind of an inch thick, and I just bought a
Uh-huh.
stick of it. And this is just a piece of bamboo cane, and those are just little cotton strings soaked in Paverpol as well, and a few little bits and pieces on there to
And then
to
the body that is a gourd is a phenomenal idea.
yes, it's a gourd.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And the boots are made with epoxy sculpt clay.
Okay. Very, very cool. Yeah, I think this guy's my favorite.
Yeah, he's
Susan
my
Barr,
one of mine too.
and I love gourds, and I think it's becoming a lost art because there used to be very good artists here in the U.S. There still are some, but it's an art form that is dying. We have here about 2 farms that still have gourds and sell, but it's been tough to have the younger generation embrace doing art or crafts with gourds, and they are so there's so many things and techniques that you can use with them as well. And we just saw that combining that with Paverpol furthers even the road that you can take with those.
Yeah, I learnt to do that at a craft retreat that I go to in Australia every year in Canberra. There's a contemporary craft retreat they run over there, and one of the workshops that was run that I didn't do, but some of my friends who travelled over with me did, was a giraffe made with a gourd
Oh,
and a lot of Paverpol and stuff in it as well. And I think that's what um, gave me the idea to use the gourds in my
uh-huh.
artwork. So we've actually started growing a few, and we've probably got a dozen or two in stock now ready for me to use.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's good. And I think you have the perfect weather for them there. So very cool.
Yeah.
And this guy, what is impressive to me with the gourd is that it's very refined, the end result, right? So
Mm.
perfect, perfect. Uh, Elena is saying that
Another one
the
up the
angel
back
is,
there.
say it again. Go ahead.
There's one more up the back there,
Oh,
black and white one that
let's
is up the
see.
back there as well. That's made with a gourd.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
let's see that. And
this
why,
one's a bit of a wacky one.
okay. And why
I
you
just
do
have to.
that, Elena is saying that your angel is gorgeous. And Sally Mason is saying, love anything made with gourds. See, we have fans here. Me too. I love gourds.
Now this one was a bit of fun. She's
Oh,
I call her barely angelic. This one because
uh-huh,
she's fairly revealing in the front.
uh-huh.
She's a gourd with this is all done with paper pole, and underneath here I've stuck. I don't know if you can see the pattern clearly, but I've done that with kitchen string and paper pole and just wound it all on to give the nice pattern for her buttocks.
So what
And she's got
exactly is kitchen string? I'm not familiar.
just string that you use in the kitchen. You know, a ball of string like
Oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah, it's just a
Okay.
ball of string,
Uh,
and it's wound on and glued on there. And
okay.
then her wings are made with baby muslin
Hmm.
and paper pole. Everything's lots of paper pole in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
This
Beautiful
looks like
piece.
it's paper plast in here as well. There's lots of paper pole in everything I do.
Very cool. Very nice. So Gwen, what if we show them now where you work? I think we have a video about your studio, right?
Yes, there's a few shots. Unfortunately, my studio is such that you can't kind of do a very good walkthrough, and
Uh-huh.
because I've had to change some things around for this, I can't show you it live. So I decided to do some shots to send to you.
Okay. Let's watch. Let's see that.
that's the area that I store the Paverpol in that goes out for my sales, the distribution shelves. Just a few shots of that. I call it Paverpol Alley. And that's just when I'm working myself, that's the shelf that's right behind me at the moment, all covered up with sculptures, but that's just access. And
Yeah.
that's my favourite piece of equipment, my most favourite purchase ever, the toolbox.
Oh,
It's all slide out drawers with all my scissors and things are all in there, pliers, the whole lot. That's the area that I teach in. That's for the classroom. I can fit 7 people in there and another couple on the table that I'm working on at the moment.
Nice, nice.
So that's down the other end of this room. I've got about 60 square metres in this room, so it's a nice size.
Very good.
That's just in my little gallery area.
Nice.
Yeah, there's another one there of the tea lady in the background.
Uh-huh.
And there's a gourd hanging on the right-hand side.
Uh-huh. Can we show that again so we can see? There's a gourd hanging, you said. No, the pieces, yes. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
just on the right-hand side by the curtain. That's a gourd that I've just carved. There's an interesting one. That was it's got flames and things all over it. It was inspired by the bushfires in Australia.
Uh-huh. And the big piece that you have there, how big is that guy? The one
over by the window?
Uh-huh.
You mean the one by the window?
Well, with the one that is beside the violin guy, you see there is a big one.
That's the tea bag one. That's
that's the
size.
tea bag one. Oh.
Yes, and it's life size.
Amazing.
That's a full size mannequin that it's on at the moment.
So
and the one in the middle
uh-huh.
of the shot, the African lady, that's another big one. She's up behind me as well at the moment, but that's another big one.
Awesome. So for this big tea bag guy, how long did it take you to make that?
Oh, I can't. I didn't count the hours, to be honest. I just did little bits of it, and at different times I made the vest at one stage and the skirt another day, and it would have been dozens of hours.
Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah, it's impressive. Now, Gwen, of course, we are all in different countries and prices vary a lot, situations vary a lot. But give us an idea of when you sell your pieces, grab one of them and tell me more or less how much you would charge for that.
The basic things that we usually sell the most of are just the little sitting and standing ladies, the standard little ones up the top here. Can you see those up the very top?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I sell those for about $100 each.
Okay.
Just over. Yes. That African lady that's up the back, just beside my head. If I move that way,
yes, there it is.
I would probably sell her for $200 or $300 because there's a lot of work and a sculpted face in her. The little garden balls over on the right, on the very edge of the thing behind me, there's a lot of little balls there and some hearts. Those are just stakes that stick into the garden.
Oh, okay.
And I sell those for about $40 for a set of 3, $45 or so. I think I probably underpriced my work a little bit, but as I'm getting a bit more confidence in my own abilities, I'm hiking the prices up a little bit.
Okay. And the garden pieces, like the ones you have, those are, can I say, they're kind of fast to make?
Yes, very.
Okay. And how many classes do you think on a normal year you give?
Not enough.
Not enough.
I would try and do a dozen if I could, but I don't often achieve that. As I said, I've had a few medical issues and some surgeries, so that's kind of put the brakes on me a little bit. But if I can fit in at least 1 or 2 a month, I'm very happy.
That's nice. The reason I'm asking you this is because Of course, you're talking about your art and you're showing the products that can be used. And you mentioned they can go in the garden. You have the chicken there for years now. So this may inspire people as well, not only to try the medium in itself, but to understand that they can create a career or have, we call here in the US a side hustle, so something that they sell during summer and things like that. And like I said, with every single person that we talked so far that sell sculptures with Paverpol, they sell really easily, right? Beverly is here on the chat with us. She's from Canada, and she does the art walks, for example, in Canada, and sells extremely well as well. So do you see this as a possibility for people?
Yes, and I've got a team of instructors around the country,
Nice.
probably about 8 or 9 really active instructors at the moment. And 1 or 2 of those are doing workshops, once or twice a week
Uh-huh.
and
Wow.
doing very, very well.
Wow.
It's a different, if you put your mind to it and work hard at it, you can do very, very well out of it. And I'm so very lucky that I've got some very talented people in the team in New Zealand,
Yes.
and I can't praise them high enough. Their work's outstanding, and their energy and enthusiasm for Paverpol is just wonderful.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I agree with you. And there is the add-on that even though you have distributors and Paverpol in almost every country, is still something very new, right? So as a person that you're thinking, I would like to create art and sell my art, you need to understand that the moment you create these sculptures and you put it out there for people to see, and and you can say, I use, like Gwen said, I use aluminum, I use tea bags, I use T-shirts, and this can go in the garden. They go, oh my gosh, I want to do this too. So for you to become an instructor or to start making your things and sell is quite a good opportunity because it is still something very new. Here in the US, for example, Gwen, not a lot of people are aware of Paverpol, which gives a lot of possibilities, right, for new instructors and people selling their art. And I believe it is like that. I mean, you said 8 or 12 instructors around the country, and they find people once or twice a week to give a workshop. That alone is a success story, right? Because most people say, oh,
Yes.
every 3 or 4 months I give a workshop with 4 people. I know because I deal with a lot of artists. And you're saying, no, they can get people every week if they want to.
Yeah, one of them in particular does, like 10 or 15 people in a workshop quite
Wow.
regularly.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the whole team's just amazing. They work really hard at it. They go out to fetes and shows. We even do agricultural shows and all sorts of things.
Oh,
I
cool.
spent probably the first 5 years or more of the time since I've been doing the promoting,
Mm-hmm.
going to garden shows, home shows, agricultural shows, and I worked very hard for probably 5 or 6 years, and now I'm taking more of a back seat, and the instructors are out there doing those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things.
Yeah.
But I'm still doing that kind of promoting, but I just do less. But if I go to a show, I know that I'm going to come home with probably $2,000 to $3,000 worth of workshops.
Not bad, right? For a show,
Mm,
not bad at all.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I love that. And I like your approach as well. For example, with the example of the tea bag, the girl by the tricycle, it tells me that you look to a new purpose for used objects. And I think we all should run that route. Not only
Yes,
because
absolutely.
you're recycling, yes, right? You're avoiding things to end up in the wrong place, like the bottom of the sea, but you also giving a new story to the pieces. So that tricycle will now live, who knows? At one point, a kid was riding that for real, and now it's a beautiful piece of art. And how many things we go by during a day that we don't pay attention, that we could turn that into a gorgeous piece and give a new purpose to the piece itself, right?
Well, I have a collection of what most people would consider junk around my yard.
Uh-huh.
I have saw blades, bicycles, um, digger teeth, all sorts of bits and pieces that I plan to use to put paver pole sculptures on. At
Uh-huh.
the moment, there's some of them are just garden pieces on their own, but every now and again I'll grab one and bring it in and mount something on it.
I
Um,
see.
I just found the most amazing thing at a junk shop just a month or two ago, and it's the big horn thing off an old gramophone. You know those old gramophone horns,
Oh,
and I'm going to put a sculpture inside it. I just can't wait to do it.
that's nice. See, I love this. It's reinventing and giving new purposes to pieces. Irina is saying, how tall is the beautiful African lady behind you?
Nearly about a meter.
About a meter tall.
Yes.
That, how many
I'd
feet?
bring her down, but she won't fit on the screen, and she's very heavy. She's on a big um, limestone base, so she's
Oh,
very heavy.
really? Oh, nice, nice, nice. So about a meter tall. It's about 3 feet tall. So wow,
That's
almost
right.
my size. 2 feet more, it's my size. Sally Mason is asking, do you have a favorite color of Paverpol that you recommend starting with?
Black.
Black? Really? Tell me why.
For a beginner, it's the easiest color to use because you can see very clearly if you haven't put enough paver pole onto the fabric.
Uh-huh.
Because where there's no paver pole, it will be the white t-shirt material will be obvious if you haven't soaked it well enough. So I recommend for every beginner not to use a light colour and transparent paper pole. I think they should use black for beginning. And all of my workshops, pretty much all of my workshops, unless they are repeat workshops where ladies are coming back after having made the original ones,
Mm-hmm.
um, then I give them the choice of colours. But for original workshops, I always go black, and we highlight them. The two ladies that you can see sitting up the top behind, I
Mm-hmm.
never know which way.
Yeah, this way.
Those are the standard sitting ladies that we do in our workshops, and I keep them small because I want someone to go home with something that they can um, just cherish, some little thing that they can take home and
That
decide
is
whether they want to
complete.
carry on or not. And
Uh-huh.
my workshops are designed to teach people rather than going home with a beautiful object. I actually concentrate a lot on giving them all the skills necessary that if
Uh-huh.
they decide to buy some paper pole and go home, they've got enough confidence to do it um, without referring back to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm quite happy to talk to them if they want to, but I just like to give them the skills to have the confidence to do it on their own.
Right, better chances of success. And I love the tip
Yeah,
about the black because it is true. They will be, visually, they will see if they're covering everything, especially if they want to put it outside later, they must be
yeah.
sure everything is covered. Great tip, I love that. Uh, Sally Mason, do you, you answer that. Stephanie, I love how colorful, so many of your pieces are.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you can see in the background is just about everything that I have on hand at the moment because I've been selling and selling and selling and not replacing. So I'm about to embark on another big making spree. But
Good.
yes, I do like bright colours. I'm very fond of them.
Uh-huh. Very cool. That's a very good problem to have, right? You don't have pieces because
Yeah,
they sell. What's bad about that? So, Gwen, we know that your website is paverpol.co.nz, is at the bottom of the screen. And that's the website where they can get, I assume, products. If they
yeah.
want to become a certified teacher in your country, is it the same website? And how do they take workshops in person with you since you're able to give those workshops right now?
There's a contact form on my website for anyone who wants to book in for a workshop, or they can just telephone me or email me. And the order form for products is also on the website.
That's very good. So, of course, if I were anywhere near New Zealand, I would take a class with Gwen. That's a no-brainer. I would ask for something like that violin, man. I would make the first piece, second piece, but yeah, that one caught my heart. Of course, if you're in another country, how many of us are, again, Paverpol America, if you're interested in either buying products, getting a certification. You need a certification to be able to teach, because of course you need to understand the ins and outs of every single product in the line. And or if you want to create your own pieces, you can start experimenting with that. In other countries, you go to paverpol.com, click on distributors, and you will see the list of every country, and there's going to be somebody near you that can help you get in this rabbit hole, because that's what it is. You start looking, and as you watch all the Pavermondo interviews, you get inspired by this style and by that style and by the materials that the other artist uses, and there is no end to this. So you want to make sure you at least jot down those websites if you cannot visit them later. Gwen, Sally's saying, being in New Zealand, do you create any hobbits or hobbit houses?
Well, I think the little one behind me, just over my, this shoulder. Oh, I don't know.
I think
this
you
is
have
so
to grab
difficult.
it. Yeah.
Everything's in reverse. But this is the closest to a hobbit house. This one.
Oh, cute, 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 cute. Any other pieces you would like to show us before we go?
No, I been making the little birds. I think I sent you some footage on how to make the bases for these.
Oh yes, Gwen, I almost forgot we have a tutorial to show. Good thing you remind me of that. So those birds are part of the tutorial?
Yeah, on how to make the base for this one, like these little things, and some other little animal bases. That's what the tutorial's for.
Very good.
Just these little animal ones. Just basics, little basics.
That's very cool. Show us again the bird. Let me see. Put in front of your camera. Look at this. Look at this. Very cool. Very cool. So what do you say if we watch the tutorial now?
Yeah, it's only a short one, so that'll be fine.
Yes, let's do it.
Today I just want to make a little mini tutorial to show you how to make a little polystyrene bird or animal frame. We will make the whole bird, but before I show you all the details on putting this little fellow together, I'll show you another little animal, because you can adapt this method to any animal that you want. So pretty much we'll strip this back and show you. The polystyrene ball, I've taken, if you note on all the polystyrene balls, they always have a little seam around them where they are pushed together in the making process. I always use that as a guideline for the centre. So for the legs for any four-legged animal, I draw a circle on the bottom so that I can get an even spacing. And I actually measure out how far from the centre that I want to put these things and mark it before I make the holes. So these are just popsicle sticks. I've poked a craft knife just into the body like that, and then taken it away and poked the popsicle stick in as far as I want it. Usually just cut them in half and use a little piece like this. Dip it in Paverpol before you put it in so that it stays there. So that's the legs. Now turning it over, the head, we'll turn that over and sit it down. Something to remember when you're making them is to sit them down on here before the legs dry, so that you make sure that you haven't got one of the legs that's not actually touching the ground. So they have to be nice and even. Now the head is just another small polystyrene ball, and I've taken another smaller still polystyrene ball and I've chopped it in half, and then I've taken a slice off the outside of it to make this shaped snout, and it's a little bit thinner on one side than it is on the other, as you can see, just a little bit, so that it gives that snout look. And I've glued that on by poking a piece of what do you call these, skewers through there and into the head, and a bit of Paverpol on both, and that The Paverpol actually glues polystyrene to polystyrene very successfully. So the stick's probably not necessarily, but I do like to make everything nice and strong. And the ears on this little pig, I don't actually like these ones very much now that I've made them, but for that I just made a little W out of this wire, the same wire that I've used for the pig's tail. And it's just stainless steel wire, and I bend it with the pliers. Just it's too hard to bend with your fingers, so I bend it with the pliers just to make the shape. Now if I was doing this again, I've had this for a little while, I would put the ears separately out the sides here. I wouldn't put them both together in the middle, so I'll probably adapt that before I ever finish it. And I just covered that with a little bit of foil tape, but masking tape would do the job. So now this, just a little piece of old cane that I've been using in the Paverpol, I just poke that into the Paverpol and into the back of the head, and then again into the body. For the bird, I've just used the same kind of ball, and I'm using that central line again to mark the centre so that I get everything even. Again, I've made the tail out of that same wire that we used for the pig's tail, just a little piece of stainless steel wire from the hardware shop, and I've made it into a heart shape, and then I've taken the ends and twisted them together and put a little bit of masking tape round, so that would get dipped in Paverpol and poked into the body where you want it. Before I do that though, I do cover this in masking tape because it gives me something to cover with the wrappers when I use them, or if you're using other fabrics, it gives you something for it to grip to. So we cover that with masking tape and pop it in, dipped in Paverpol of course first. And the wings are made exactly the same way. They're just a circle of wire taped together at the end, dip in Paverpol and poke it in, and they too are covered in masking tape. You can put the wings on any angle or any shape you like. I mean, just you might want the wings facing back like that more, and that's just depends on the angle that you put it into the body as to how it's going to look. You might even want them flying. Up to you. Now the head is just like the pig's. It's on a stick, which is dipped in Paverpol, poked in there, dipped in Paverpol and poked on there. And I don't give the birds a neck, obviously, because they don't need it. Now for the beak of the bird, I usually either use the end of a sharp skewer, just the very tip of it, chop this piece off and poke that in, or bend a piece of wire and poke that in, and once it's covered with wrapper, it's nice and solid. You could cover it with masking tape as well, or you can shape a beak. I just did this with the craft knife out of a popsicle stick, so you can shape your own little beak and poke that in. We might try and use that one today, just for something different. So that's a fairly big beak, but that's okay. It just changes the character of the bird. If you want to push that in further and it's not going very easily, a little tip is to use a sharp skewer and actually push it in first, because once you've popped some of those cells in the polystyrene, it will go in much easier. So there we have it. And for eyes, the eyes on these birds that I've made here, those are just little beads from the $2 shop, and they're glued on the end of one of these skewers and then poked in. You can use anything you like. I think for mine today I'll just use some little pins. So there's the basic structure of the bird. Now to mount it, these birds that I've made here, they've been mounted with a wire, and I'll show you how in a moment. But you can see the wire then wraps around and around the branch, and because it goes around a couple of times, it looks like a little bit like feet. And so I've just used that method. You can see this little bird here, he's been covered with kitchen string just glued on. No fabric at all on him, just kitchen string. And the tail is some cocktail sticks glued together, as are the wings. This one has got kitchen string again, and it's got twisted wire just like the pig's tail for its wing and tail. And again, just long feet, long wires for the feet wrapped around there. These birds are another kind of bird that I've made. For these ones, the wires have got some epoxy sculpt clay over the top to form actual claws and feet. And these birds are exactly the same construction, but they've been made with art stone. So back to this little fellow. For mounting that wire, this is a green plastic coated piece of wire that I get from our garden centre, and if I was wanting to do it like these other birds, I just push it through here. Now before I get it up to where I've bent it, I would put some masking tape around there, pop some Paverpol on and push it in, and then bend it down to where it's got to go, because then the Paverpol is going to hold it in there and it won't fall out. So that's all there is to the legs when you want to do those. You have to be just a little bit careful when you're winding them onto the stick that you don't pull it out of the body. But if you've got some kind of fabric through here, it's not going to come out anyway. Today I'm not going to use that particular wire for the legs. I'm actually going to mount it on a little stand which I pre-prepared. This is just a pair of chopsticks from the $2 shop, and they come in a pair joined together. I've just split them open a little bit and wound some strings around them, Paverpoled that on of course, and just drilled some holes in this little piece of Hebel building block, which is a nice light stone block, and permanently in there. And I'm going to just poke that bird on the top like that today. So that covers the making of the polystyrene frames for a small animal or bird.
Very cool. It's a cute bird. That's a very cute bird. So Gwen, Suzanne is asking, on your workshop, how many hours is the workshop?
The standard sitting lady workshops start at about 9:30 and you usually finish by 3:30 to 4:30, depending on how much chatter between friends or inattention we have during the workshop, or distractions where we might have a bit of fun, which usually happens.
Oh, that's good. And they go home with the finished piece then?
Yeah, I try and encourage them, if they're very local, to leave it for the night and do the highlighting the next day, so that the sculpture's nice and dry before we highlight it. Otherwise we have to spend a lot of time drying with hair dryers to get it dry enough for doing the highlighting.
Gwen, any final words to the people that are watching you today?
No, just thank you for taking the time to watch us and learning a bit more about Paverpol. It's just such a wonderful medium to use. As I said, over the years I've skipped from craft to craft to craft, and you know, this one I found Paverpol in 2008, somewhere around there, and I'm still doing it.
Wow.
All these years later, and I've not ever got sick of it. So I guess that has something to say about it. It's just an amazing medium. It's also good for doing some other interesting things like repairing the garden furniture, because it's okay for outdoors. It works very well, better than PVA glue, for mending the wooden furniture and all the things out in the garden. We've even mended axe handles and goodness knows what with it. It's just an amazing product.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And thank you so much, not only for taking the time to be here with us, but also for doing all those films. I think it was the first time for you that you tried to do a tutorial. So thank you for getting out of the comfort zone and, you know, being here with us. It was fun. I love to see your city and your pieces and the tutorial of the bird. I just keep thinking, see, if I were to make something quick that I could sell, those birds would be the perfect thing to get started and to see how, it just brings proof of all the possibilities beyond that. So thank you so much, Gwen, for being here today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's been very good for me.
That's good. That's good. So have a wonderful day. I think it's just starting the day, so I'm already thinking about dinner. So enjoy that. And again, everybody, if you are in New Zealand, or you can go there for a workshop, check Gwen's website, paverpol.co.nz. Check the products as well. Check the certification. The instructor certification may be a whole new journey for you, so don't discard that. If you are in any other country, paverpol.com, click on distributors. You will see the list of people that can help you. All those distributors, they have products, they have courses, and they offer certification. And here in the US, PaverpolAmerica.com will also guide you to the right place, okay? Or give us a call as well. Well, so today we finish our tour in New Zealand with Gwen. In 2 weeks, on the 13th, we will have Dwight Saunders in Newfoundland, and it's going to be Thursday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So put that in your calendar so you don't miss this. Again, those interviews are open to everybody and they live forever wherever you're watching right now. So do share with people, because you never know who you're going to inspire to start on a new journey. And just inspire people with art, showing what Gwen makes, and sharing the pictures, talking about the gourds. You may just highlight somebody's day, so say, hey, come watch this interview, it's worth watching. You don't have to do anything else, just enjoy the beautiful pieces that this lady makes in New Zealand, okay? So I'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for being here with me, and let's go create things.